What's really happening in the real estate market? We're going to talk about that right now. So today we're going to be talking about the Vaughan real estate market. Okay, there's a lot of things have happened in the past month that we're going to dive right into. Okay, the first one really is that the Ford government announced that foreign buyers will have to pay an additional 5% tax, so from 20% to 25% when they purchase a home. Okay, the second component though is that the federal government said that they are banning, foreign buyers starting January 2023 for up to 2 years. Okay, now that's going to obviously hamper the number of buyers that are going to look in the markets if you're a homeowner, and that will have a downward pressure on home prices for sure. Now, combining that with the higher interest rates are expected to come up in December, even though the Bank of Canada has seized the job reports that over 108,000 new jobs have been added to the economy, they're still going to raise it. The question really is how much, right? Analysts are expecting anywhere from 0.5 to 0.75 a percentage. Okay, so if you really are in a variable, mortgage payment, expect that to come up. Okay, now the question really I have to ask everyone is, what do you think of the type of market it is right now? Is it a seller's market or a buyer's market? And if you've been watching any of my past videos, most of the time it's been a seller's market. Okay, and you know what? Like at the end of the day, it really depends on the minor markets, right? The market in your neighborhood. So numbers that we're going to be discussing are going to be more general in terms of the citywide, but it's a little bit more detailed compared to the GTA analysis. Okay. The other thing that we need to think about too, in terms of supply and demand, is the fact that the government also announced the approval of 3 dwellings as opposed to just one in terms of one residential property, and that the municipal government can't really get involved with that. So for example, one particular home can be rented out the basement. Okay, so that's 2, right? So the main the primary residence, the basement can be rented legally, and also the backyard, right? So that's going to really help the Ford government reach their goal of over 1 million homes. Now I'm not going to get into that right now because this is just a market watch updates, but feel free to watch out the next video. Okay, now before we dive into numbers as well, we should also compare homes with other asset classes. Okay, because there's a lot of media attention of home prices are crashing, but if you compare it to different asset classes such as stocks and the crypto market, you'll be pleasantly surprised if you are in the markets right now that they outperformed both asset classes tremendously, right? So for example, the Nasdaq Composite, right, was down 29.10% from October 2021 versus October 2022. And also the crypto market dropped by over 68% in the same time period. All right. In terms of the real estate market in Vaughan in general, it actually didn't drop that much. It only dropped by 8%. Okay. Even if you take it to the all-time highs of February 2022, that dropped by about 22%. So even then, okay, we are still outperforming those 2 asset classes. Okay, and it's good to know. What we're also going to be doing something a little bit differently starting from now on is to look at other time periods. Okay, coming from a banking background where I crunch numbers, lots of data at different points. There's lots of different ways of looking at numbers. So of course you're going to be looking at October 22 numbers. We're also going to compare the previous month, so September 2022. Then we're going to compare all-time high, okay, depending on the area. Sometimes it's February, sometimes it's March, and sometimes even April. Then we're going to compare it to 2021 of October, and then pre-pandemic numbers. Now, I'm not going to go through every single detail points, okay, for the sake of time, but feel free to, look at the numbers and get your own analysis from it. Okay, so the first up is we're going to be talking about the Vaughan market in general. Okay, so in terms of sales wise, it's 187 sales, 640 active listings. The average price was about 1.25 million. The type of market is 3.42, which simply states that it's still a seller's market. Anything less than 5 is a seller's market. From 5 to 6 is a balanced market, and from 6 onwards is a buyer's market. Okay, it's funny that one of my properties I was listing for, we had a multiple offer situation, and the buyer justified their offer because it was a buyer's market. But in reality, it really wasn't a buyer's market at all. And instead of you know having us legitimate conversation about what type of market it is, I definitely refuted that when it came to negotiations. Okay, now the days on market is 23. Okay, now looking at all-time highs here, don't be afraid of all these numbers here. All you need to think about and concentrate on is, the percentage changes, okay, on a horizontal plane, right? So obviously, the sales dropped by 17%, which is a good month-to-month comparison compared to other time periods, right? It dropped the most in October 2021, where it was 452 sales, okay? So even pre-pandemic numbers is 330. Okay, so it really depends on how you want to look at the information. The number of active listings, right? The most important one here, or the most extreme one, was that in October 2021, there was 327 active listings, okay, versus 640 of last month of October 2022. Okay, now the biggest drop was from October 2019, where there was 776 listings. Okay, that's 18% drop that we've had. Okay, now this is one of the reasons why I don't think the home prices are going to be there's going to be a big crash, because if you look at the number of listings and the number of sales, okay, sales is demand, active listings is supply. So there is less supply now than there was pre-pandemic numbers. Okay, yet the home price has gone up by over 25%. Okay, so even though, yes, there are less sales on from pre-pandemic numbers versus now, the price has still gone up. Okay, but it's just less supply. Okay, so it's really important to take that into account. Now the type of market, obviously, it changed, right? Pre-pandemic numbers is 2.35. The all-time sellers market was a February 2022, which was 0.84. Right now, in October it's 3.42, and again, it's still a seller's market. Now, in terms of the fastest time to sell your home, which was back in October 2021, was about 15 days. Last month was 23. So let's really dive into the detached numbers, and in Vaughan. So in sales, October 2022, it was 91 sales, 317 active listings. The average sale price was about 1.656 million. The type of market is 3.48, and the days on market to sell a home was about 23. Okay, so now the extreme though is that we should look at the sales, right? Which month sold the most? Well, you can see that it's actually October 2021. So it was 217 versus 91. Okay, it's good to note. Also, in terms of the number of active listings, right? Pre-pandemic numbers was 532 available listings, and in October it was 317. So you can see that there was a 40% decrease. Okay, yet at the same time, prices still gone up by 33%. Okay, now in terms of the types of market, right? 3.48, okay, versus 0.8 which was October 2021, all-time sellers market. Okay, even before comparing to February. Okay, now in terms of the semi-detaches, okay, it's a very similar trend. Okay, where October sales figures 18 homes, 27 active listings. Average price was about 1.131 million. Type of market's 1.5, and it takes about 2 weeks to sell an average Vaughan semi-detached. So in terms of sales wise, the most sales that happened was in October 2021. So sales did drop by 47%, but it did improve by 6% compared to September 2022. In terms of the active listings, right? In October 2021, there was the least amount of listings, right? Only 9 homes were available at the time. In terms of the pricing wise, the obviously the highest price was, February 2022, which was about 1.46 million. Okay. And if you compare it to the pre-pandemic numbers, the average semi-detached home went up by 36%. Okay, which well outperforms inflation. Okay. In terms of the type of markets, right? It's the October 2021 was all-time sellers market. Okay. Um, and it actually went to more of a seller's market on a month-to-month basis, where September 2022 was 1.65. Now it took it takes 4 additional days to sell a home from September 2022 versus October 2022. But it is a lot faster than pre-pandemic numbers of 24 days to sell. Okay. In October 2021, which is a very hot market for semi-detaches, it only took 4 days to sell. So in terms of the townhomes, right, October 2022, 20 sales, 58 active listings, 1.087 million average sale price. The type of market, it's still a seller's market, and the days on market was 19 days. So there was there was 9 less sales compared to September 22, which was 29 transactions. Okay. In terms of February, there was 68 transactions. So that's a 71% decrease, which is very important to note. Okay. In terms of the active listings, there was 58 active listings, right? Versus October, which was 83. So that's about a 30% decrease. Okay. But in October 2021, there was only 16 listings available. So looking in February 2022, there was an all-time high. It was 1.41 million. And pre-pandemic numbers, it was only about $850,000, okay, for the average Vaughan townhouse. In terms of the type of market, right, it was a buyer's market. Sorry, it was a significantly seller's market, okay, of 0.27 in October 2021. Okay. And if you compare it to the pre-pandemic numbers, it was 1.54. Okay, so you can see that those are 2 different time periods that had the biggest extremes. Okay. Now in terms of the days on market rate, it took about 31 days to sell a Vaughan townhome in 2019, and only 7 days when it came to February of this year. So the condo townhomes in Vaughan here, there was only 4 transactions versus the previous month, which is 15. Okay, active listings 37, average price was 966,000. Type of market, this is very important here. This is specifically a buyer's market for Vaughan townhomes, condo townhomes. Okay, that number well past number 6. And if you are a buyer, right, looking for a condo townhouse, this is where I would very likely negotiate pretty hard, especially how the number of active listings has gone up to 37 active listings, which is an all-time high compared to all the previous time periods that we're looking at, right? So 2019, 2021, February 2022, it still had the most, 37 active listings. Okay, please don't fall in love with a condo townhouse, right? Because for your buyer agent, it really hinders their ability to negotiate for you. Okay, there is more availability and more supply. Now, so days on market takes about 20 days, right, to sell versus 27, which is quite interesting here. Okay, now one thing you should also note though is that there's only 4 transactions. Okay, so when there's only so few transactions, it really can skew the numbers. Okay, and that's something to consider. But anyways, we should still look at it. In October 2019, it took 35 days to sell a condo townhouse in Vaughan, and only 7 days during the peak of February 2022. Now, definitely last but not least, you can see that there are 54 apartments that sold. Okay, in February it was 125. Okay, the number of active listings was 200. The average sold price was 691,000. Type of market, still a seller's market, 3.7. And the days on market is 26 days. So one of the things that you should really look out for is, in terms of the number of sales, in February was 125, like I mentioned, right? The number of active listings, right? There's 227 in the previous month in September. Okay, so there's 227 and now there's only 200. So that's really interesting to note here. Also, what's interesting to note is the number of listings, right? So in October 2019, there was 118 active listings only, and that was 69% less at that time. Yet the home price, gone up by 28%. Okay, the type of market, right? What I want to highlight here is that within one single month, there's a 15% swing to a seller's market here. Okay, so what we can see here is that despite the increase in interest rates, okay, home prices have still gone up if you compare to 2019 numbers. Okay, interest rates will affect home prices in the near future, right? Um, as you can see from February 2022, the home prices were a lot higher at the time. Um, but at the same time, if you compare 2022 numbers to 2019 numbers, higher interest rates, higher home values, which really means that if you're looking to buy in 2019, and you still haven't bought, it's really gotten a lot more difficult. Okay, even if you've gotten, better job, more opportunity, more pay. Okay, it has gotten harder, especially now where financial institutions aren't necessarily going to lend you 5 times your annual salary. Okay, so if you have any questions, please let me know. Make sure you subscribe and forward this video to anyone you think might be interested in learning more about the facts that's happening in the real estate market. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye bye.